Hello everypony, Corpulent Brony here. Taking a different tack today, I'd like to take a look at the newest book from My Little Pony show writer Amy Keating Rogers, called The Journal of the Two Sisters. This tome purports to provide a look into the journal as portrayed throughout Season 4, recounting the story of how Celestia and Luna got their cutie marks. Additionally, the final portion of the book consists of short entries from the main cast characters, recounting the events of Season 4. Before beginning, I want to point out the following may contain what some ponies consider spoilers. But wait, before you stop watching, keep in mind this is a very short book that doesn't really tell a typical story, since it is a journal and we already know the outcome. Luna's cutie mark is a moon, Celestia's is a sun, and I promise not to give too many details about various incidents in the book that I consider minor. So, you still there? Great. It's time to start our magical journey through time and space into the mysterious world of ponydom, whose mystery is only exceeded by its ponies. Where was Equestria before and shortly after the Grand Coronation? Apparently, not too long after the events dramatized in Hearth's Warming Eve, Starswirl the Bearded approached Celestia and Luna, accompanied by Smart Cookie, Private Pansy, and Clover the Clever, Starswirl's apprentice, to ask the two alicorns to become princesses of the newly formed realm of Equestria, in order to uphold the newly discovered peace and harmony. Since the alicorn race displays traits of all the other pony races, they believed these two would ensure a harmonious future amongst the various kingdoms and empires that existed at the time of Equestria's founding. Celestia and Luna assent, with Celestia remarking that they will not rule over Equestria, but rather will be its guardians. Amy Keating Rogers attempts to draw some parallels in the characterizations of young Celestia and Luna to the main six ponies we know so well. I estimate the ages of the alicorn sisters at the beginning of the journal to be approximately equal to the ages of the main six. However, since alicorns don't receive their cutie marks until much later in life, they both currently lack them. A story is related in which Princess Platinum begins making fun of their blank flanks, even though the sisters are much older than Princess Platinum. How do the mature princesses fix this ornery Platinum's wagon? By yelling at her, scaring her, and then pulling a nasty prank on her. And guess what? This bullying worked. Perhaps the CMC can take a page from the book of our formidable princesses. Celestia displays the same love of books and magic, along with some similar anxiety issues that Twilight often displays, helping to explain what Celestia saw in Twilight, and why their mentor-mentee relationship is so strong. Additionally, the journal relates a tale in which Luna is shown to have the power to talk to and understand animals, much as Fluttershy is able to. It is also shown that Luna has a tendency towards pranking, much like Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie, and it was Luna who devised the trap doors and secret passageways hidden throughout the castle of the two sisters, all triggered by the organ to the outside. Let's concentrate now on that mysterious jangly-hatted magician, Starswirl. Celestia spent a good deal of time in his library, devouring his books on unicorn magic. She gushed over what she considered the most exciting spells of his, namely his spells involving time travel. The particular spell first described sounds a lot like the spell used in It's About Time, since it can only be used once and only for a short while. Being an alpha wizard, Starswirl is not satisfied, and he insists on finding the secret to unrestricted travel through space and time, and he eventually finds it when he reappears before our princesses after his first foray. An interesting side effect of this new spell is noted. It has the effect of reversing the aging process, making Starswirl's beard much shorter. The book stops short of saying Celestia and Luna were born alicorns, but it is strongly implied. Both princesses recount stories of their youth, being raised by the alicorns, who naturally age at a different rate than all the other pony races, possibly explaining why the princesses are both still alive today, so long after their coronation. After the first time Celestia ventured into Starswirl's library, she mentioned she previously read a lot about alicorn magic, but this was her first exposure to unicorn magic, and the unicorns looked at magic in a very different way than alicorns. Raising and lowering Worshipping the sun and moon each day took an enormous amount of power. 2 separate groups of 5 unicorns each are needed to handle each celestial body, with Star Swirl joining each group to contribute his might. The unicorns chosen to participate in these tasks can only withstand them for a short period of time before their magic is drained completely forever. Thus, it was a great sacrifice the unicorns took upon themselves. One morning, the princesses awakened to find the sun is not yet out. The last of the full-grown unicorns were depleted, and Star Swirl wasted himself trying to do it alone. As a result, his beard has turned gray, and he has lost his magic as well. It is at this point he tells the princesses that alicorns have magic more powerful than unicorns can imagine, and in fact, alicorn magic is so different that raising and lowering the moon and the sun will actually rejuvenate them. So, after this quick pep talk, the princesses fly into the air and do their respective duties. After this celestial event is complete, they land and find that each has a cutie mark.
Dude, what's mine say? Sweet! What's mine say?
With the power the princesses received from lowering the moon and raising the sun, they are actually able to restore the magic to all the unicorns, including Star Swirl. When one takes into account the fact that alicorn magic is different from unicorn magic, and that Twilight was able to wield the power of 4 alicorns in Twilight's kingdom, one must come to the inevitable conclusion that Twilight has indeed become a full alicorn, subject to the same slow aging as Celestia and Luna. This entrance to alicornhood may throw yet another bone my way in explaining how she was able to match T-Rex's strength, as she did lower the moon and raise the sun that morning, thus imbuing herself with even more magic. As the princesses are entering their nascent journal entries, the Tree of Harmony is already ancient legend, so much so that Celestia doubted its existence until Star Swirl told the sisters where it was located. The pony sovereigns visited, and Celestia found herself inexplicably drawn to the sun symbol, not knowing why. After Star Swirl began traveling through time regularly, she shared this with him and asked if it will mean something to her future. Star Swirl refused to answer her, but Celestia saw a twinkle in his eye that she took to be confirmation of her assumptions. This idea of the symbols on the Tree of Harmony returns toward the end of the journal, after the princesses received their cutie marks, when they raced down to the Tree of Harmony and realized their cutie marks match the sun and moon symbols. They then quizzed Star Swirl once more on the significance of the star and whether that represents some pony to come in the future. But Star Swirl answered by just shrugging, clearly knowing something. All of this buildup of Star Swirl in this book, in conjunction with his purported mastery of time travel and his apparent knowledge of the meaning of Twilight's cutie mark on the Tree of Harmony, lead me to believe we may very likely have an episode in Season 5 where he plays a central role, likely in Pony, on a visit from the past. I'm very much looking forward to this possibility, as I believe the event could go a long way towards making the murky image of Equestria's history clearer. A little while ago, I mentioned that the fact Celestia shares a love for books, magic, learning, and anxiety drew her to Twilight Sparkle. I also doubt the fact Twilight's new cutie mark, which happened to appear at the same time she first met Celestia in person, had nothing to do with it. She knew right away this pony prodigy was going to be very important to Equestria's future, providing yet further reason why she took her under her wing. Now, I'd like to share a few other small but significant details I'd noticed in this text. It appears that a love for eclairs is not limited to Gustave Le Grand, as it is mentioned the head of the Griffins back in the day also had a sweet tooth that could only be sated by these treats filled with tasty cream. The unicorn princess of the Crystal Empire at this time is named Princess Amore. I am pretty certain this is not the Mi Amore cadenza of modern times, but the fact they share the same name is an interesting bit of post post facto foreshadowing, or at least trivia. Finally, between the two sisters, it is Luna who first stumbles onto the land of zebras as she is exploring deep in the Everfree forest. Unfortunately, these zebras also seem to speak in rhyme, much like Zecora, so it appears this vocal tick may be canon. The one thing that really stuck in my craw while reading this book was the absolute mangling of the second-person informal verb tense whenever the Royal Canterlot voice came up. This is really frustrating, and I fully blame Amy Keating Rogers, or at least her editors, for not knowing proper English grammar. Luna was able to use this verb tense just fine in Luna Eclipsed, but for some reason, both ponies sound like complete dunces whenever it comes up in this book. Some notable examples include, "We are here to protect the ponies of this land. Our lack of cutie marks does not indicate a lack of maturity," and "We canst not shriek in fear." All of these use second-person informal verb tense, art, dost, and canst, in cases other than second person, namely first person and third person. Their use makes no sense whatsoever, and renders the sentences as grammatically incorrect as, "We is here to protect the ponies of this land. Our lack of cutie marks do not indicate a lack of maturity," and "We cannot shriek in fear." Okay, well, the last one is a bad example, but you get my point, yes? I really am not usually a grammar Nazi, but to have such blatant misuse in a published book just irks me to no end. Urgh! Before finishing this analysis, I want to make a couple remarks on the entries made by the main six to the journal during Season 4. Touching on the topic of time mentioned in my previous video, The Magic of Tirek, it is revealed that Rainbow Dash's most recent birthiversary celebration was her 10th. I take this to mean she's been in Ponyville now for 10 years. Finally, for some strange reason, in the entry on Rainbow Falls, some pony quotes Pinkie Pie as saying, "P for Ponyville." I just don't know, folks. There you have it. I'm calling this an analysis, but it includes a lot of recap and review in it as well. I hope you can forgive me for that, but I cannot assume you've had the opportunity to read this tome yet, nor can I easily show clips from it. I do recommend you try to find this book in your library, or go out and purchase it, as it does contain some interesting new pony facts that add more depth to ponydom, many more than I've even touched on here. I've gotten some awesome fan art recently, and I really wanted to highlight it here, but unfortunately, I am feeling particularly rushed to get this video completed before my appointment with Dr. Wolf in a couple days, so please bear with me. I promise to feature your masterpieces in a future video. Until then, keep sending them in. I'll put some links to my social media sites in the description below. As always, please leave a comment and let me know what your thoughts are. I wasn't kidding in my last video when I said you guys have some of the best insight I've ever read, and to ensure you don't miss any of my new videos, I highly suggest you also subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, every Brony.
Think about this one. Where would he go? Would he go here? Then maybe here? Having a spaghetti, lots of it, putting it on display, delicious spaghetti meatballs, spicy tomato sauce, you slurp it up like... The meatballs are 100% faggot, and I mean that. They're not actually meatballs. Spaghetti and faggots. It's not actually what you think it is, unless you think it is something else. This reminded me of something. What is it? Oh, it's Recess! Yeah!